And we are back heading into our second game now between these two teams. Of course, HYDRA with a very, very good start here in our first series. Danog, you mentioned maybe you are looking to maybe have Aincrad enabled a little bit more in this upcoming draft.
I think so. I mean, that could just come off the back of having second pick. You know, I think it's more important than ever. There's not too much of a difference versus with Radiant versus Dire. I've got my own little theories. Like, I know a lot of people, even Collapse was on Twitter saying that both sides are pretty much the same. I slightly disagree in terms of, like, especially around the safe lanes for the position ones, in terms of, like, what heroes that you can pick, how you can look to avoid bad matchups if you're the off lane for each of those lanes, in terms of, like, the angles for pulling, enabling yourself to do that, yada yada yada. But I think second pick just trumps everything, just because you're going to have the last pick of the second phase, you're going to have the last pick of the third phase, and you even have the first pick of the second phase straight after being able to ban out a couple of heroes, which is almost as good as those, like, unrespondable picks as well.
Do you know actually the win Radiant and Die at the major? I'm trying to find out now, but
Not at the major. At Dream League, it was incredibly Radiant favored. Like,
that was...
I think all 5 games of the grand finals were Radiant won.
I was going to say, are you speaking pre-patch or post, so... I don't...
Yeah, that was just post, right?
Yeah. So... Yeah, at least the one stat that I saw was Knoxville released like 3 days into groups, and I think it was just like 7 games advantage to Radiant. There wasn't a very big a number pool to be able to work with, so I'm not sure what it was towards the end of the major. I agree, doesn't seem like there's too much of a side that's favored overall. You said second pick though, you prefer, yeah? Is that what you said?
By far. I think it's just like the patch has not been figured out enough yet that there's like this pool of absolutely Imber busted heroes. I think the Imber busted heroes are just getting banned out in the first phase, and I think Doom should be one of them. So I think Doom should probably be banned out in this game number 2 as well. I think they went down a little bit of a strat on one move to be able to reduce Cloud's influence just by being able to pick the Beastmaster and ban the Doom. But then he's just like, you know what? I'll just pick Timbersaw. You know, I haven't exactly played it a lot recently, but I'm still pretty damn good on the hero.
And I think again, if I can actually check who has first and second pick, I need to get... HYDRA have second pick. Okay, so... probably means that they'll have to ban the Tinker again in the first phase, because in the first series that one move played, they picked the Tinker at the 8th pick. So I think that's a big reason why it was banned in the previous draft, just because they wanted to make sure they couldn't close out the first phase.
Was it with a bounty hunter?
No, it was like Beast Tinker. Was
okay.
Their
Still gives
phase.
a lot of vision with the Hawk, so that's really what I was hoping for. Like, is there something to enable the Tinker's rockets?
Yeah. So I wonder if they want to continue to go down that route now, because again, it's going to be the same situation where there's a potential for one move, they have the first pick, so they can then Tinker to close out the first phase, even if they don't your bounty, or well, because they're banned it even regardless seeing that. So this is the thing. I mean, if you can showcase that you can pick the Tinker and the first phase, it's gonna force teams to ban that hero, and then maybe something slips through, right? You were just speaking about the Doom, you know, the Alchemist, but potentially goes through. I mean, there's some other crazy heroes. I don't really know much on how Medusa is situated. Teams are still trying to first phase ban her. They're still trying to pick her as well. I don't know really how good that hero is, but I mean, that's another hero that was always first phase banned as well at the major. So if you can have this Tinker hero that is now first phase banned versus you, it's really going to unlock those drafts.
So I'm going to give you a bit of reference as to how good this Medusa hero still is. So over in the Southeast Asian DPC, at 20 minutes, so pretty early into the game, Boom had a 14k lead against Blacklist Rivalry, who were playing with a Medusa, and 2-1 fights, and the lead was completely obliterated, and then Blacklist won the game with a 15k net worth lead in 38 minutes. So, like, you lose a couple of fights against a Medusa, regardless of how far ahead you might be and how early it might be into the game, then Deuce is still going to carry the hell out of it.
Cool hero. Very cool hero indeed.
And this is the nerfed version, let's remember. Okay. with like a lettuce leaf, it
5
got hit
seconds
with a
remaining.
little bit of a nerf, but like it needs a bit of a stronger punch into it. Do you see some of the theories as to what would be strong against it, like the Elder Titan and stuff
Dire
like that?
team pick.
I did see that one. I didn't look too. Jesus, what the heck? We'll go through. We'll close this thought real quick. Well, what's the ET?
Okay, so basically, since you're not taking any damage, it's all going to your mana. You can just sleep someone through the stomp and then just damage a 100 to 0,
10
basically.
seconds remaining.
But then
Go.
your Earth Split is pretty
5
garbage
seconds
because it's based off
remaining.
of HP, and so it does like 100 damage to
Dire
it. So
team
like,
pick.
you take your good, you take the bad. Also, the natural
Radiant
order kind of
team
sucks
pick.
as well. But first phase TB, I was mentioning that Underlord and Pugner are pretty good answers to it, but does this mean that we're going to get the return of a game that you and I cast in SA, where it was a position 4 Terrorblade, and they just kept spamming out that Q, because it is a really good
10
spell just to
seconds
spam
remaining.
consistently. Like, it has like 35 mana or something like that, so
5
you can just
seconds
do it off
remaining.
cooldown every single time. Tons of armor, good lane harass. I wouldn't hate to see it, because I think I would hate to see this TB as a position 1 after you're just letting
Radiant
yourself be
team
counted
back.
with all 5 picks of the draft.
Beastmaster.
So
Dire
What are you
team
thinking?
ban.
They're going back to the well. This is the exact same first phase that they had last time.
yeah, I really hope Afterlife has a better Beastmaster game now that he's been. It's 8th pick. 'cause
Enabled.
he's enabled, right? Now you have
10
3 bands to be able to
seconds
protect
remaining.
it, and hopefully that lane matchup for Hydra is going to be a little bit worse versus the
5
Beastmaster. Because
seconds remaining.
if we, in like 10 minutes, if we see the lanes dissolve and Beastmaster is having a really poor time, Moonkush is going to be like, dude, why are we
Radiant
picking my
team
hero
back.
first when we gave you kind of priority in the draft and you still had a rough time? So I think there's
We
a
don't
lot
know
of
the
pressure on
discussions
Afterlife.
that go
No,
on.
we
You know, maybe the team is like, look, Munkushi, we really set that one up for you. You didn't pull through. I'm just spitballing here as to what it might
10
be,
seconds
or maybe they
remaining.
just really want Afterlife to be able to have a game. But I mean, Beastmaster
5
isn't
seconds remaining.
uncounterable, right? Like, you can still pick plenty of these really solid heroes. They're looking to ban as many of them as they
Radiant
can
team
in this second phase of bans. You know, the Slark, the Monkey King, they're 2 pretty solid ones. But I mean, this Pugner could be a position 4 for all we know. You just slow down the TB with the Decrepify, you launch another blast into him, you've got the Firestorm coming through, and TB just has an even rougher time
10
in lane.
seconds
You could
remaining.
probably get away with something like a CM once again.
5 seconds remaining.
I don't know. I'm telling you, support TB. I'm predicting it early.
I hope we.
I mean, if you could bait out this many picks and you just throw it to support, why not, right? It's what I used to do with Zeus. I would like first phase. This is 5 years ago. I would first phase Zeus, and then people would be
Dire
like,
team
all right, time to
back.
pick the big Zeus mid counters. And then I'm like, oh, too bad, I'm a 4. I'm just going to farm a little bit more, harass in lane, and then ult, and I've basically done my job.
But come on, your brain is far superior to these measly players. Like, no one would be able to think of that strategy.
All right, they banned the CM, though, so at least we're on the
10
same wavelength.
seconds remaining.
Okay. So, hang on. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
5
If you were
seconds
miles
remaining.
ahead of them, they're catching up to you. Is that not a concern then?
Yeah, I'm Usain Bolt, and they're whatever Australia puts into the 100 meters. It's not good. We always get absolutely crushed.
Ah. It's okay. Put me in there and
Dire
Usain
team
Bolt ain't
pick.
got shit on me.
Radiant
You a good
team
sprinter?
pick.
Enchantress.
I'm not bad, but I'm not good. I'm okay.
So it turns out there's more than one counter to the Beastmaster. Enchantress is going to be able to do a pretty good job as well. Also, pretty good counter to the Terrorblade. You know, you're just taking away one of his illusions. You deal
10
all that
seconds
pure damage
remaining.
into him, and you've got the flexibility if you do need to be a bit more of that roaming
5
ward
seconds
style, just to
remaining.
go a few more points into the sprites as well. So I think this is a pretty phenomenal pick. I think it's something that Happy really loves to play as well, so that's going to work out really well for them. I think Lil plays a really good Enchantress as well, so again,
Does.
they've got flexibility with this too.
I am a bit concerned that, of course, we don't see a lot of One Moon's draft, but I think you need to try and have 2 heroes here that have a decent chunk of damage, because you could have they do a support medic with the Enchantress Pugna, and then of course Underlord with Atrophy Aura and all the other auras as well. So
And
that
just the
could
heroes
be-
themselves are pretty hard to kill as well.
Yes.
On top of that,
Yes,
without
yes.
all the medic stuff taken into account, you've got Untouchable, you've got probably the sprites. You're gonna have someone with like a Parvis or a Glimmer Cape or something like that. You've got Decrepify, you've got Atrophy Aura. So already I'm just really liking Hydra's draft.
Yeah, I mean, having these difficult to kill supports, it doesn't really matter if you go for like a mobile mid hero for Ankrad, right? Like, I know Storm's out, but if you have like Storm, Ember, Void, whatever, if you get on top of the Enchantress and Pugna, they're still going to make it very difficult for you to be able to secure the kill. So, we see one move though. Oracle is going to be picked up, so well, you've got a bit of a response
10
to the
seconds
decrep,
remaining.
which is going to be nice. I mean, it's Oracle Terrorblade is great as well,
5
right? It pretty much
seconds
gives you
remaining.
a get out of free or get out of jail free card, where you can then use the Sunder as well inside the False Promise.
Yeah, but it's not the damage that we're really looking for, right? And
No,
again,
it's
the Terrorblade isn't exactly set up to have a dominant game. It's been countered by 3 different heroes. Like, Pugna's probably... we're assuming this is a support Pugna still. It could be a core, depending on what the lane matchups are. That's just how flexible the hero is. But if it's a support, it's getting an early shard through the Tormentors. And then... it's not pretty good against TB, dude. Just instantly clear out all the TB illusions.
Oh, sorry, that my response was to the Rubik. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Because
I'm used to you making that sound in terms
I
of
get
me,
it, I
you
get
know.
it, I get it.
10 seconds
No, this time
remaining.
it's to the draft, the one move. I mean, really, for me, the Rubik, just a nice thing is stealing
5
Fire
seconds.
Sword.
Radiant team
Like, that's
battle.
really the big thing I can see. Killgear's got a great Rubik as well, but we can probably wrap it up and say, let's speak about the next series, because I think this one is, this is not looking good with the PL pick, man. I don't know.
It's into the Beastmaster. So if Beastmaster has a dominant laning stage and gets an early Aghanim Scepter
5
and gets into
seconds
like
remaining.
the
Dire team battle.
even just a Voodoo
Radiant
Mask, you probably don't
team
even
back.
need beyond that. Then maybe that's going to keep you in the game long enough. But again, maybe now you're just saying, look, we know we're going to crush the TB in the lane. We know that it's not a good TB game overall because of these 4 heroes that we've picked. So let's just put a little bit more attention on this Beastmaster to make sure that he doesn't
10
get out of
seconds
control. I think they're
remaining.
constantly just going to be chasing him around because they know that pretty much regardless of how
seconds
farmed
remaining.
TB gets, they don't care. It's just about preventing the Beastmaster from having a game. I don't know how I feel about this, dude. This one move draft, I'm not a fan. I'm ready to have egg on my face, to be honest. You know, anything can work, but I'm really not feeling it.
I just think that mid laner needs a lot of damage from one move and playmaking potential, because you don't have at the moment. Look, I think Ankrad can really be enabled this game. He's not going to any stuns at all on Hydra. I mean, minus the
Dire
pit.
team back.
So there's not a lot of control he has to be worried about. You've got the Oracle to back him up potentially. You've got the Beastmaster to enable you with vision as well. So like it is a game where he can definitely pop off.
So what's he gonna go? Void Spirit? Because Storm's gone, Ember's gone, Puck's gone, Tiny's gone, Pango's gone.
10 seconds
Like-
remaining.
It would be an amazing Ember game, but there ain't no Ember.
5
So I feel like
seconds
Void
remaining.
Spirit is probably
Radiant
the
team
one.
pick.
You could Lesh, potentially. I think playmaking is a bit of an issue. I still feel like Mage Slayer is a pretty decent way to address the Lesh, and you've got Pipe Builders as well, so maybe you might be lacking damage, but I mean, Lesh Oracle is a combo that we saw for a while besides the Lesh Io. So,
I
10
can see it.
seconds
I can see it.
remaining.
Also gives you an extra bit of tower push as well to
Dire
combine
team
together with a Beastmaster, which is something that, I mean, we felt Hydra was kind of lacking in the last game. Okay, mid primal, it's all right, but again, like you've got ways to be able to hold him into place. I really do want to see them have some sort of stun to be able to
10
play with this.
seconds
Like
remaining.
the Pit of Malice is pretty amazing against the
5
Primal Beast, at
seconds
least until he's got that
remaining.
BKB, but you just need a little bit more of a reliable stun to be able to stop him from doing whatever the hell he wants.
trying to think of
What
those.
is that, though?
Honka?
I was watching Quinn stream the other day, and he thinks Conker's in a really bad spot, so I would assume these guys are going to do the same. Maybe
Now
Quinn Spirit.
select
Okay.
your
I mean,
heroes.
again, you've got ways to be able to answer the Primal Beast, right? If he tries to jump on you, you've got Astral Step, you've got Dissimulate. You're not going to be like slowly walking away. You've always got a response. And now they've got at least some frontline, which was an area that they were lacking a little bit. I'm still favoring Hydra's draft. I think with the Void Spirit being a universal hero now as well, yeah, he got a... It depends how the lane goes, basically, because he got a really big nerf at level 1, like, I think 4 or 5 damage reduction at level 1, but as the game progresses, Void Spirit's one of these heroes that loves buying into all sorts of different stats, so it means that you're really going to get a lot of value out of the universal heroes now getting 0.7 instead of 0.6 damage for each attribute you get, regardless of if it's strength, int, or agi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really the big thing. Like, even though you, like you said, you got that base damage reduced, at least now with all the, I think you just go like maybe 3 branches in a circlet. That's going to at least help out a little bit from the reduction prior. I haven't done the mass, but I still like the Void Spirit. I still think this is a very, very strong hero. I wonder if the Primal Beast is going to be enough for the lads on one move to be able to kind of disrupt the Phantom Lancer, because it does look like a very good game for Kami.
It looks like a pretty amazing game, and again, I really feel like this game is just going to be almost entirely based around Beastmaster. Like, if Beastmaster has a game, then one move have a shot. If he doesn't, then they could get stomped pretty quickly.
That they could indeed. But before we get underway in our second game, let's hear a word from EGB, our sponsor.
Bets on esports, bets on streamers, impressive bonus system. Welcome bonus up to $600. Cashback, artifacts, regular promotions, daily giveaways. Try yourself as a bookmaker. Great lines. EGB.com, more than just a bookmaker.
What a perfect timing to get back underway as both sides smoke breaks inside of their own jungle. Kami, though, they're still going to be able to catch out the real Phantom Lancer, and this is a great way to be able to start in the second game. There's almost some jukes going on with the illusions, but not enough for Mr. Kami to be able to get out of that one.
Ankarat nearly bopped him down to the low ground as well, so I was thinking maybe that tip was going to be a little bit preemptive if he could just walk on away, but I mean, even just having him level up the doppelganger at level 1 feels pretty significant, right? Now you're going to have a little bit more issues with being able to secure some of those last hits on the range creep. You've still got Happy to be able to help out a little bit, but certainly the start that they were looking for.
Ah, dude, first blood gold at the moment is just so silly. Feels like this is
pretty high, isn't it?
It's just so much, and even just the assist gold as well. I mean, 230 split between 4 heroes. You take that. I mean, that's pretty much what two CS there for everyone.
Anything that encourages fighting is good for me, though. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, we don't want this boring sit back and farm style Dota. I think maybe it was a little too hectic in game number 1, but we saw that despite the fact that you are encouraged to farm up and build up a lot of stacks and all that, it's like building up a ton of stacks for a big burst of farming and then going to fight, right? It's not this passive sit back and just try and lead out your opponents, essentially.
So what do we make of the lane situation that we currently have from either side? Do we feel like there's lanes that should go better than others, or is it going to be a bit more of an even laning stage? Because like you said, last game was very chaotic early on.
I'm really thinking that one move, or at least in 2 of the 3 lanes, going to have a really good shot. Like this mid lane and top lane. Top lane I probably would have put HYDRA favored if PL wasn't forced to level up that doppelganger. But because he's already missed a few last hits in the lane. Like you can see he's 1-1 versus the Beastmaster, who's got 4 CS already up there. So again, it's just these little things that are going to combine together to make sure that Afterlife has a good game early on.
We'll see if they...
Careful.
Brandon's going to be on the mark, and Warwick, alright, beautifully done. Ankarat just a little bit too aggressive with that onslaught, took up some tower damage, and that was all Warwick needed. Him out of position, he was ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, he took 3 tower hits, right? Like, that's just not something that you could allow to happen. And with that as well, I think he might lose 1 or 2 creeps underneath the tower. This really wasn't something that I was expecting to happen with a Primal Beast as well, considering, like we mentioned, the Void Spirit got a bit of a nerf to his base damage at level 1, but despite that, he's 9-2 versus the 4-1 in terms of last hits. So right now, he's just getting outplayed in that mid lane.
Yeah, and whoa, what is his choreo? I am a very big Baby Roche fan, and potentially because they are one of the more expensive choreos in Dota in general. But the Void Spirit's choreo is the best Baby Roche I think I've ever seen. Hopefully we'll be able to tab on over once it gets delivered to his next set of items. I'll bring it back up then. But so I had to bring it up. I'm a huge Baby Roche fan.
I'm happy with Panto's courier. Just Cluckles the Brave, the old chicken, gives me Dota 1 vibes. So that'll do for me.
That's a boring choreo. Come on, I don't know. You need to...
I still use my Dolphin and Russian Aunt courier, TI2. Really showing my boomer status here, but
I have no idea who you're speaking about as well. I don't know if that's
the Shitty Wizard.
Shitty Wizard? Okay. Actually, yes, I do kind of know now which one you're mentioning. So, I like. Are you a big cosmetics person or no?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll spend a little bit of time like mixing and matching my guys just to make sure he looks good. You know me, looking good is something that I highly prioritize.
Mate, I take a lot of inspiration from your looks. Bottom lane, Cloud is not looking too good to start this one. Of course, had a incredible Timbersaw game in the previous game, but this time once again, Munkushi on the Terror Blade off to a pretty good start, 16-8, and that was a kill without meta as well, which is really the big thing. So when the Underlord rejoins his lane, you're gonna have meta now to work with soon from Munkushi, so he might die again on Cloud.
I mean, Panto's just playing the lane really well. I think that's the big thing, right? Where you got to make sure that this doesn't happen, that an Oracle gets out of control. You hit this big spike at level 3 in terms of the damage that you're able to output against a Pugna with the Decrepify. It actually doesn't mean all that much, as you might be able to get a kill. I'm not sure what the cooldown is on the Harpy, but it might just die to the creeps.
Okay, what? No way. So he cancelled his Phantom Rush on Kami, I think, even before the Spirit Land, so
That should help.
maybe that would have been enough. I think it needed like 18 health to get rid of towards the end, so you sent Afterlife all the way back to base, and meanwhile bottom lane, it's another kill onto Cloud as well. So the Underlord is going to probably have to make the Walk of Shame back to bottom. Lily's getting a decent chunk of damage onto Panto though. See if he's going to be able to get in range here for the Nether Blast, lacking a little bit of the mana.
Anything coming out on the courier? Not quite, so Lil's going to feel a little bit, I don't want to say useless, but certainly not as effective. I don't know if the hard camp is unblocked as well, so won't even be able to pull that one through. So basically, they've just given Munkushi a little bit of free from underneath this tower. I really don't think he cares all that much.
What's at least going on with some of the other lanes here for HYDRA? I mean, we know Warwick's off to a great time with that Price solo kill onto the Primal Beast. I mean, still top lane, it looks like it's kind of recovered, I suppose to say, from Kami's rough first wave or two. So
I saw the Baby Roshan. It does look very cool.
It
It's got like
does.
the wings.
So it's like the Diablo wings, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, there's probably many other things that it looks similar to. Nice little angel wings on Demon. I don't know if that works. That shouldn't work. Anyway, look.
It does look cool. Alright, this is much more what I was expecting to see in terms of the stuff in the mid lane in terms of net worth. As well, we're having a look, and I wonder how much that game 1 is going to influence this this win probability and this where the odds are sitting right now. Because it was slightly favoring one move last time around, and despite the fact that they've had a very good start to it, it's still the longer shot here.
GB still believes in the boys on HYDRA. Maybe this kill might hurt it a little bit as Aincrad and Gilgear in combination together going to be able to chase down Happy inside the jungle. So Aincrad getting active early on. He's even going to be able to walk past and drop an Observer Ward as well. I think that is underneath the sentry though, unfortunately, so won't be up for too long.
Feels bad. Shield Rune, pretty great to be able to pick that one up on a Primal Beast, considering how tanky he already is. So we have all of that that shield to maybe enable a few dives underneath the tower. And here we go. Once again, this time around, it's going to be one move, making sure that at least one person is set up. That's actually going to be two for these Wisdom Runes at the 7-minute mark. I'm sure that's... we had a bit of a talk about what was going on in terms of drafts, who's going to be able to pick what, but... And so who's got quicker fingers?
Let's go.
Here we go. This could be a difference. I mean, now you've got a level 5 against a level 3.
No, wait. Okay, he's going to be able to cancel that. Is this worth it? That's all his mana.
At least he's next to base, I guess. But, I mean, you've just given Anchorat a little bit of time to shove the wave in.
It's a streak, I suppose.
He's gonna walk back. Yeah, I guess. But, I mean, the Wisdom Runes were already gone, you know?
Yeah.
I can understand making a rotation to make sure that you're securing it, but... Well, didn't happen. And we saw how much of an influence the HYDRA supports were able to have on that game number 1 off the back of all those Wisdom Runes they were able to steal. You have to wonder what it's going to be like this time around. Being on the other foot.
Anchorat actually might be in some trouble now. They'll get the turn. Nice use of the telekinesis. Pretty quick from Georgi to be able to send Warwick over to the other side. So, force out a lot of spells, a lot of reactions, but no one will go down. Doesn't have them in the... Unlucky. I mean, Arcane, you still take it. Got a full set of Tangers as well for Warwick to look to work with.
I mean, I really think the big difference, like, it's showing on the net worth right now in terms of the cores, but I think the difference this game has been the supports, right? I think Panto had an amazing laning stage. They made sure to make those rotations for the Wisdom Runes, and that's really set up the TB to have a really strong start to this game. Also got Beastmaster, who's able to be just in the lane on his own. So he might be at the bottom of the net worth in terms of the cores right now, but again, you just need to give him a little bit of space. You hit up onto that level 6. I guess he's going to need to make plays around Anchorat. Like, there's not really a ton of burst that you've got with a Rubik, and maybe an Oracle has a little bit more, but makes it a little bit tougher.
Radiant are scanning.
Are we concerned the fact that the Terrorblade's 1,000 net worth over the PL and Kami's going Midas as well? Because it does feel like there's going to be a window where they can end this game before PL is a big issue.
Dire's
I don't
bottom tower is
hate
under
the
attack.
fact that the PL's going Midas, just because, again, if it gets super late, they're probably going to win, just because of, you know, PA kind of feels inevitable at that point. And I think they realize that they need a bit of a response outside of this Underlord, in terms of someone that's going to be able to deal with a lot of this early push. You know, if you could take away that Beastmaster Helm and the Dominator creep that he's going to have shortly, then it's going to look a little bit more optimistic for them.
Both sides are putting a lot of emphasis to try and secure some of the runes around mid. Battle back and forth, posturing to try and get rid of some of the vision. This time one move will be able to deal with that and potentially get a kill once again onto Happy. This Enchantress been struggling so far with his movements across the map, and now he's going to add another death to the tally up to 4. And well, this will give one move a numbers advantage to try and secure some of the runes. Unfortunately for them, it's going to be Warwick that snags the invis and able to get on out.
Just see, though, you know, you mentioned before that PL was 1k behind the TB. He's already starting to close it in. It's only about 800 or so now, and it's just continue to do that. Going to continue to do that just because of how effective PL is, especially once he picks up, like, the Midas, sure, but Diffusal Blade makes his farming accelerate so quickly because of all the neutral camps on the map. The fact that so many neutral creeps these days have mana to be able to just burn away, it makes your farming so much more effective.
At least for him though, like, he will be able to show up to these fights. At least with Diffusal for a little bit, but even Terrorblade can move with meta. So we'll see. I mean, that was one thing that we saw from Mukushi in the previous game, and he's already going to look to do it again. Up the top they go. The roll this time, it's actually onto the real Phantom Lancer. Afterlife is able to find Kami for a couple of illusions were set up. Kami's going to look to try and TP out and will just make it, but you compared with the two carries, Mukushi is getting a tower, so it's more gold, and then the Phantom Lancer, that was TP back to base. He's not farming, and again, dude, Happy is just struggling this game. 5 deaths, 11 minutes in.
Not really what you're expecting to have when you've got an Enchantress, right? One of the best laners in the game, and again, it's just the power of getting those Wisdom Runes right. I really feel like it would have been a different story if it went similar, or even just a 1-for-1 trade. You know, not having to deal with Lil just dealing a lot of this harass from afar means that supports on one move can just do whatever the hell they want. What's up?
I stole Fiend's Gate on Gilgear.
Okay.
See what two plays they want to...
Pento Man! Pento is so good! Die though. No, never mind, he's fine.
So I guess for HYDRA, what do you look to do to try and offset this net worth lead that's starting to build on one move? Because I feel like Warwick doesn't have anyone to play with this game.
No, that's the real big issue, right? Like, maybe they're just waiting for Pugna to get level 6, because Ench isn't really going to have this big spike once she hits level 6. You know, she's still going to die to the trample, for example, from the primal beast. You're still going to die to Panto because of how farmed he is. So it's really just about making a bit of space, I guess. I think Happy's got a few more deaths in his future, just off the back of, like, doing some weird lane cutting or, you know, trying to shove in waves a little bit more aggressively.
Still level 4 as well. I'm happy. Yeah. Those level 5 as well. We brought up a lot.
He's got to start stacking.
He does indeed. Gushi's in a little bit of danger. Warwick, he's going to be able to stick them out inside the tree line. They won't have stuns to prevent the Sunder, though. Shot the Remnant, looks like it was an attempt that was just a little bit skewed to start, so HYDRA won't continue on.
I mean, it's still just level 5 on Lil as well, so it's not like they would have even had a lot of that additional burst damage to be able to, excuse me, deal with the TB or instantly kill one of the illusions. Makes it a whole lot more challenging as Happy, poor guy, he's just doing like a walking rune these days.
Alright, at least they're potentially able to get a kill bottom lane. Warwick, oh my lord, Gilgear with the use of the Dissimulate. Get some distance down to the south. Warwick is working with a haste rune though. So he's going to be okay for the moment. They're still able to turn it back around. It's going to be a 1-for-1 as Aincrad is able to snipe Cloud on the retreat. They've got Afterlife even starting to pivot his attention down towards the bottom side as well. Might look to take the stack instead.
That's so important. I mean, we saw with the EGB odds that it's very one move favored off the back of this really solid laning stage, but if they're able to take this one away, then I think you can see it start to move even further towards their favor. I mean, that's a big stack to be able to steal away. I don't know how it works if, like, a HYDRA support stacks it up, but then it gets stolen away, if they still get the benefit from it or not.
It's the same with the gold, right? I'd imagine it would be the same with the experience.
You never know. Game's in beta.
True.
I mean, I'm surprised that someone hasn't made a bit of a move over towards the Wisdom Rune on one move side of the map. It's still standing there. 14.5 minutes. Obviously, they made a bit of a maneuver to be able to steal away the Ancient stacks, because that was going to be so much more valuable for them. Off the back of that, Gilgear is just going to be able to pick it up, continue the XP lead that they've got. I mean, what level is the Oracle at this stage? You'd have to be at least 6 or 7, right? He's 8? Yeah, I understand.
4, 1, and 2 is Mr. Pantomime, and then you've got Gilgear 1, 1, and 6, level 7. So Wisdom Runes just picked up. I mean, this game, it's going to be very slow for HYDRA, so we'll see what they're going to be able to do. I mean, it's really up to one move to be able to dictate the pace, and a lot of that's going to come down to Afterlife, and he's made multiple stacks for himself. He's got that Helm of the Overlord, but where do we feel like the Scepter fits into that build? As we'll hold that thought as Happy. He's getting chased down. Aincrad's not going to continue. He's got a heart queued up, but...
Who's got on the Scepter, sorry?
No, when does the Beastmaster fit that in? Because against the PL, you were mentioning a couple times now with the drums to be able to deal with him.
I mean, I think you're kind of forced to get a Helm of the Overlord this game. Like, obviously the Dom helps you to farm, but you're against a PL with Midas and an Enchantress that can just take it away. So, you know, I don't think that there's a ton of value just keeping that at the Dom, so it might need to be Overlord and then into the Scepter after that. You have to remember as well that if you've just got a really tanky creep as well, that's also able to build up some of those drums and slump stacks too. So I think that's going to give them a lot of value if they can get into that. But again, it's just more farming that needs to happen. I think they're in a really good spot though.
Now, HYDRA should know this smoke is going on. I didn't have the dire vision, but it looked like a Radiant Courier flew underneath the Observer up on the cliff by that triangle, so maybe they're going to go the long way around. There's no Wisdom Rooms or nothing like that, maybe just anticipating the carriage farming pattern, but I believe HYDRA were able to dodge that. There was another item build I really wanted to bring up. Oh yeah. So what the hell's going on with Aincrad? A Sunge into Heart? Whoa. It's a very interesting build on the Dino.
I'm trying to think. Playing for the talent that gives him the attack damage modifier for the trample, and he's a strength hero, so you get a lot from the heart. I don't know.
So eventually you'll get really tanky where PL doesn't really do anything to you with like Shiva's Scepter for a little bit of extra AoE damage with Uproar, and then I thought with Sunjin Kyle. But I thought Heart kind of came into that item build like 3-4 in, or maybe even later. So, yeah, really intrigued in how Aincrad's going to look to try and play this. And I mean, he's already so beefy without that Heart fully completed, and he's just able to charge from lane to lane. 6-1 and 2 is Mr. Aincrad. He's definitely off to a much better time than what we saw prior with that other matchup as the Monkey King.
Have all of his deaths been to the Primal? Because he's 0, 6, and 0, and Aincrad has 6 kills, so...
let's just say 5, maybe a lane death.
But the important thing is, Kami has his Midas, and he has his Diffusal. So he's just going to stick himself up here in the Mighty Mines area and just look to go back and forth, farm. So that's exactly where One Move are looking to position themselves in the next little bit. For Cloud, he has enough to be able to buy the Vanguard now, and he's already got the pipe finished up. So it's just about, again, putting himself in the way to make sure that this PL's farming isn't disrupted. Even just being close by means that the attention is on him instead of the PL, so I really like his positioning there. Of course, it's an Underlord, so if they did go on the PL, you can just Fiend's Gate in, but PL right now doesn't really have too much in the form of stats. It's all just about that farming efficiency. You know, Diffusal Blade gives you a bit of damage, Midas gives you 0 stats overall. It's a really early Rosh attempt. I don't hate it if they just want to keep the pressure up early before PL gets out of control.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I think I want to see them try and push the tempo. They're not even going to need the meta to be able to take this, so now you're going to have Skadi, Aegis plus meta to go for a tier 2 potential fight, and maybe even poke the high ground as well, because they can really only defend with like 5-star spam. So I think this game's still going to slow down for the next couple of minutes until Munkushi is able to find that big item, and then once he has the Skadi, they'll look to try and get some more objectives afterwards.
Well, they've got the Helm of the Overlord creep, so I'm thinking that maybe 22 minutes or so, maybe they could look to consider going high ground. I think they still want to get that extra Wisdom Rune. They want to potentially take the Tormentor, even take Hydras. So I think for Hydra, it's going to be incredibly important that they just shove out that bottom lane as much as possible prior to that 21-minute mark.
That activated top lane, Mikushi. Oh, they're even going to use the Roar as well on Afterlife, so just why not? Get the kill onto Cloud, get the tower. And the Glyph's going to be expended, of course, it'll be refreshed once this one goes down, but One Move just... It's all them in the second game. Really no response from HYDRA.
HYDRA are doing a good job though, right? Like, they shoved in mid, they're shoving in bottom, they know that... Kind of like what One Move did last game. Like, they avoided a lot of fights and they dragged the game out probably longer than they had any sort of right to. One Move, they're just looking to keep this one going, maybe try and get another glyph out of them before the meta goes away, and I think they're very satisfied with that. The meta only had about a quarter duration left onto it, so now it really sets themselves up for that 22 or so minute timing to be able to go for that Wisdom Rune steal, to be able to get a Tormentor or 2 if they really wanted to, and then just immediately go in and they can clear out the tier 2 towers as well with absolutely no counterplay that they've really got on HYDRA right now. I mean, how close are they to some of their items, I guess, is the only counter that they've got towards this. PL's getting close-ish to a couple of decent items.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, Crimson is 800 gold away from the Underlord. Warwick's going for a Sunjin Kaya though, so... His farms continue to fall behind. He's 3-0, but just haven't seen him being able to keep up with some of the other cores, so he might be in trouble. That's all his ultimates use. They're well aware that he is now a sitting duck. Just Simulate will just delay this in the end, but Pantomim was able to step on over for the right side, and unfortunately for the Warwick, he's going to be the sacrifice, and that's definitely not the greatest sacrifice being a core, but this edge of the game, you're just hoping to make
Dire's
as
middle tower
much space
is
as
under
you can
attack.
for your Kami PL.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, he was just trying to clear out that creep wave as quickly as possible, expending the astral steps to be able to do so. He tried to... Oh, poor Happy.
Radiant's top tower is
Played an
under
amazing
attack.
CM last
Dire's
game,
middle
but
tower
certainly
has
isn't
fallen.
having the greatest time this time around. And, well, unfortunately for HYDRA, they'd already used their glyphs. He wasn't able to clear out the siege creep, so in addition to a TV, plus a Helm of the Overlord, plus a Beastmaster just standing there with the Inner Beast Aura, there's really not too much that they could do to be able to protect this tower outside of Cloud on his Underlord. Laying down the Firestorms, dragging the creeps
Oh, he
away. And
can't-
are they okay? I wasn't expecting him to be caught out like that.
Dire's middle tower.
That might just be GG.
Oh, that's at least a full set. Maybe two? I mean, you got a Beastmaster even once the meta expires. You might even still have it, though. I mean, the meta was just activated. Ages for another minute 30.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen. Dire's
No
middle
PL means no cares, to be honest, right? Like, Lil went and bought an Aghanim Shard just to be able to clear out some of these TV illusions, but it only can do it once. It's got still quite a long cooldown after that if they just focus down the Shard, which I think they've got the capabilities to do so, but man, this is not what you gave the PL all that priority over for, just for him to die. Kind of feels like that anti-mage sort of game, right? Farm for 20, 25 minutes, show up at one fight, lose, and then you lose
Meta's
a couple
out.
major race.
Let's see if it's going to matter. Kami's going to try and address the backline support, so it'll take a while for the PL to start to go through kill gear. He'll finally be able to secure the kill. He's built up quite the army as well, so now he'll turn his attention over to Pantomime. A defensive use of the False Promise will buy some time. He'll look for the TP, but he will not make it. At least the Terrorblade's able to get out of danger, though, so in the end, one move, both the supports will go down, but they'll get a full set of barracks mid and the melee barracks up top as well.
Yeah, I mean, Aegis isn't going to be a factor. It's still 30 seconds only until
I like
it goes
this.
away. What, cutting the wave, stealing it away?
They get in the Wisdom Room along with the Tormentor.
Okay.
The Chad play.
Nope.
Don't get roared, don't get roared. Oh, who do the...
Oh, they got the PL!
Oh no! They've all got to stay, but they're probably going to die with him! Oh no! Oh, I thought it was a Chad move, maybe not anymore when you lose your PL and you lose your Enchantress as well. Oh no.
I mean, you gotta go for plays like that if you're gonna bring yourself back into this one, being a lane and a half of racks down, 23 minutes in, but... Oh, they just stopped attacking that Tormentor, really undervaluing the HP regen that it has, and, well, getting punished quite heavily for it. TV's even going into a pretty damn early Nullifier as well, just to be able to, again, like, protect against a lot of these defensive tools that they've got on HYDRA's side. Another one, at least, over. Underlord actually being the one to pick up the Aghanim Shard, so it's going to give him a bit faster Firestorm as well, so good way to be able to clear out some of these creep waves.
I feel like you got a little bit on... Would you prefer that or the Little Friends against the Beastmaster?
Does she not have it as well?
No, she doesn't.
I don't know. I guess you would rather have the Little Friend.
Yeah.
Also the fact that it just lets you take 2 creeps as well is pretty good. Get another
Yeah,
aura. We know this is the patch of auras.
Even just, I mean, this is all about
Dire's
slowing the game
bottom
out. We saw
tower
what the
is
PL
under
was able to
attack.
do. Like, finally, that last fight was a nice little tease
Dire's
onto
bottom tower
the true
has
power
fallen.
of this hero in this game in particular, but it's just a question of, like, are we going to get there? Because Afterlife, he's got a Scepter queued up now from the Beastmaster, so he's looking to address. You've got Ankrad going to his own Scepter as well, so the Uproar, I mean, you're going to be able to activate that, and you've got a bunch of extra AoE damage, so you've already been able to deal with the early game from HYDRA, and now with all your net worth, you're going to be able to address the win condition. Really the only hope back in for Dire as well.
And it's not like they're recovering too much net worth, right? It's gone from 11k to 10k, but they're basically just stuck inside of their base right now with one move, able to just farm out all of these lanes completely freely. They've got wards everywhere, you know, even just covering where the Tormentor used to be. Obviously, the high ground, you've got a Beastmaster Hawk as well. You've got TB illusions pushing in lanes where you can't be, so they're just completely choking out whatever HYDRA have to be able to play with. Did Kami just sell something? I feel like he just really wants to get towards that that Aghanim Scepter, especially before the Beastmaster can get into his own Ags. Like, I think they realize that if Beastmaster gets that, the game is completely over. Like, right now, what's the win prop? I would assume 90+%.
Yeah, 94.
Yeah.
94%. So, yeah, I keep thinking about what I said in the draft and the PL pick. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this one's over. I think this is pretty Hydra favored, and then one move at 26 minutes in of pretty much one fight away of being able to close this one out. And I feel like a lot of the props have to be given over to Aincrad, right? I mean, this last pick, Primal Beast, has just done so much work for one move. He's 8, 1, and 6. What a performance to be able to kind of hit back from that previous game, because he definitely didn't have a game that he wanted to remember in game 1.
No, for sure. But, I mean, the thing is, again, like, he was set up to have a good laning stage. And he did. He died once, sure, but past that, he did what he's supposed to do against a Void Spirit, and he crushed him pretty effectively. I really think, and this is going to sound like something so minor that's ballooned into so much more, it's around PL just having to get the Doppelganger at level 1. I really think it's that big of a difference, just having no one to be able to secure that range creep early on has been pretty significant in my eyes. It just meant that PL had a much harder start to the game. It meant that he wasn't able to get into that slightly earlier minus, that slightly earlier Diffusal Blade, and I mean, then again, on top of that, dying on the defense for the mid Thrax certainly didn't help things. There's that Nullifier.
There goes your Decrypt, help save, or any, well, Crimson, Pipe. Yep, a lot of absorption. Boric potentially going to run headfirst into one move. On the wave first. They want to go for him, or do they want to go for another target instead? They're onto Cloud and Kami. Cloud's going to be in some trouble. Aincrad with the break. They'll easily tear apart the health pool. It'll give time for Kami to be able to TP out though. But the PL is back in base. He's not out on the map and finding farm.
It's up to everyone else to be able to try and push those lanes in as much as possible. Going for a bit of a cut up on that top side. I'm sure they were hoping to potentially be able to steal away that Wisdom Rune, but they're not going to give them time. One move just pushing into that bottom. They're pinging out. Well, time to steal away HYDRA's Wisdom Rune. Increase our net worth lead even further. Aincrad, of course, taking a lot of it for himself, but once again, they're just given Panto even more farm. I mean, he's been playing a pretty amazing game, hasn't he?
He has indeed. I do like this smoke pull though from HYDRA. You know the meta was expended for that kill. You know Roche is up as well. The lanes are in a pretty decent position for them. We're going to try and look to move on top. We'll be scouted out though.
I see that they've recently popped TV illusions as well, so they'll know that they're hanging around, but once again, like one move did last game, taking the road less traveled. They've actually got the high ground advantage here as well. So just sending the Centaur in. They know exactly where they are. They second smoke.
Re-smoked, yeah.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Don't you worry, Happy's got 2 more smokes just if they need it.
Kami's got the axe as well. Does Beastmaster have axe?
No.
Dire's bottom
Okay,
tower
more components.
is
You're not
under
going to have the
Huge.
drums for this fight. Not level 18 from Kami. I mean, that's huge. He needs 18. A big buff up to his potential damage inside the middle of the team fight. It's going to be Aincrad that charges towards the back. He's going to try and disrupt Lil, but it means that Kami's got a decent fight once again, sending the illusion to try and deal with the support. Gilgit,
Oryx doing a lot.
Astral Step is able to get some distance over to the right side. A messy start. Who's that's going to end up favoring once we get to the later stages of this engagement? As Warrior will go down, but he's going to buy back. He'll use it instantly, look to rejoin the boys. But the illusions, they're starting to do some work, man. Afterlife is getting chased down inside the true line. They're going to be able to get a glimpse of the Rubik postured as well. So they're both in trouble as Kami just doesn't have the damage at the moment. He'll be forced to move his real hero over to Kai, continuing to dance, but it's not enough. And now finally with Aincrad into the middle, the break is out for Cloud, and they've done enough. They wasted all the time for the meta to be back up as soon as Munkushi has this damage ability. HYDRA going to have to think twice about how they want to take the team fight, because Munkushi is going to try and chase down Kami with a doppelganger over to the left. Kami's okay.
HYDRA fairly well.
Turning it back around. Munkushi's in some trouble.
Still
Needs
got
a
Sunder.
Sunder target. Might be forced to use it on Aincrad. He's got a heart. He'd be more than happy. Warwick is going to be in. He'll be the Sunder target instead. It's Warwick.
He bought back.
Some trouble, but where's the damage? One more swipe. It's going to be enough. They'll secure the kill, but
they got him though.
Still there. Down goes Munkushi. Ankrad. That's a beefy boy. 2700. He's going to Parvis as well. Some more protection here for Ankrad, and well, I don't think they're going to be able to kill him as a result. So Ankrad will live off the back of a very long, drawn-out fight.
Is under attack.
The net worth ends up staying the exact same, 14k advantage. I think that was 3 buybacks used by HYDRA, and actually a dieback as well from Warwick, but the important thing is TB goes down, Roshan is up on the bottom side of the map. I wonder if they think that they can take it quickly enough, because TB's going to be up in just 20 seconds. Won't have the meta though. I wonder if that's going to be the thing, you know, farm up until the Void Spirit's alive, find a way to get down towards this bottom side of the map. Wouldn't even hate to see kind of what Cloud did in that previous fight, where he just actually starts to patrol down there and uses the Fiend's Gate from the Roche pit into the base to allow the Void Spirit to rejoin, because he didn't TP to the outpost, he took the Fiend's Gate. Looks like one move want to set up for that. They're not wanting to let them get this one for free.
Do you fight if you die when Warwick's back up? I mean, this is meta still down for 45 seconds.
Yeah, I think they're just going to feel a little bit uneasy about, like, they just saw the fact that that Watcher was taken right outside of the Roche pit, so it's not like they're going to have that first mover advantage, and I think off the back of that they said, look guys, they're taking Rochard, there's nothing we can do about it, we don't have the vision advantage, let's just look to maybe farm up a little bit. I mean, are they close to being able to pick up anything?
Scotty almost with the very close. This Aegis really doesn't mean much though, right? Like TB's one of the worst Aegis carriers just in regards to you want to pop everything on one life, like BKB.
I would have given it to Beastmaster.
BKB, but yeah, I was going to ask, like, could you see someone else? I mean, probably not Dino if 4400 health on Ankrad, Hard and Sun, so like he shouldn't be dying in fights, so.
Yeah, this is a game where it would have been, for me, Aegis for Beastmaster, Cheese for Terrorblade, because, I mean, Cheese, sure, doesn't give any stats, but neither does Aegis, right? And it's all about just making sure that you live that first time. Beastmaster doesn't care if he dies, because he's just going to get the Drums of Slum charges up again, the second. I'm not sure if they stay between deaths or not, or if they actually get wiped. Interesting if they did stick around. But, I mean, PL got his level 18 and then some, almost the level 20, so let's see if he's able to defend against this. But again, you can see that Drums of Slum is going to start to be a factor. Especially if like, you instantly go to the max stacks if you get that Primal Roar off now that he's level 18 as well. So, does he have any lifesteal on the Beastmaster just yet?
No.
Okay. So he's not unkillable, but he does do a ton of work against this PL. He's also, of course, got the Rubik, got the Oracle to be able to protect him. And Cheese on top of everything as well. And
Kushi's only level 17.
Level 20. I think he really wants to get this before they do take a fight proper. There you go. Extra amount of rush range. To be able to instantly close in onto those supports if he can. A bit of a dive towards the Rubik, towards the Oracle. A lot of that survivability just goes away.
Yeah, this isn't happening, lads. Let's
Tormentor, maybe?
I don't know, man. Dude, they have a double Remnant set up on a Firestorm, on a Pit, and on all PL illusions.
And he's throwing him out with his axe, so he gets 2.
Yeah, it's not happening. So we'll get the Tormentor. Pantomim's going to be working with the Shard now on the Oracle, so going to Destinies, not too bad at all. Did they nerf it?
Don't think so.
A little bit in the B patch, not the C patch, actually. Nothing too crazy though, so I'm still at a very huge lead for one move. 18,000, 34 minutes in, but again, even though it's 2% only for one move, this is still a Phantom Lancer that is second in net worth and only a little over 1,000 behind the Terrorblade. But we'll truly see what is.
No one has them. Yeah, they're getting close. All right, those bounty runes certainly help.
What are we looking for on Dire? Clouds is back up in 40, but needs the gold. And then Void Spirit, Pugna, and Enchantress both down for 2 minutes.
Rubik's certainly one of those heroes that I'm a Glimmer Cape enjoyer, right? I'm even a casual cloak enjoyer. But the more I look at it, the more I'm starting to lean towards Parvis being my item of choice, because people be dealing way too much damage these days, and Glimmer Cape's range is kind of tiny. So it's only 600. So a hero like Rubik, who naturally gets the Arcane Supremacy, is probably going to take, you know, a neutral item that provides it as well. Feels pretty good. You're not just instantly getting yourself killed by using it, but Parvis has 1,000 range, so you can use it from a lot safer out of the team fight and still contribute towards the team.
I want to continue that topic. I imagine we're going to get some time because I don't see them.
Once again,
of the high ground again.
Set up.
Just got to make sure. Well, all right, maybe they go around this time. Maybe through this mid wave, we'll see if anyone's going to show. So do they have any Hawks to play with at the moment? They don't have the greatest vision deep inside Hydra space. Kami, is that the one you want to initiate on? 3,100 health they'd have to go through, and potential supports playing behind him.
It's so hard for them to... I think they just need to kind of wait out this Aegis and wait for one move to make a move.
At least they've got some position up inside Dire's base. They've been able to finally crack the high ground. Mukushi's activated the meta as well, so he's had enough of this stalling out. But that's meta use on the first life, so we'll see what they're going to be able to do from Hydra to dance around and address the damage source from the Terrorblade. Card's in some trouble. Will's going to be able to keep him healthy there with the suck. Meanwhile, Kami's doing God's work inside the middle, but if you can't deal with the Phantom Lance, all the illusions should deal with the buildings instead. Mukushi's starting to fall low. False Promise going to be expended early on. Now, what can you do from Hydra afterwards, Kami?
Afterlife is doing work.
Mantis up, but it's not going to matter. Oh my lord, Kami, where did he go? All the AoE damage from Ankrad looked like it was enough to secure the kill, and well, he's got a buyback, but it's going to be Megas before he uses it.
I'd love to see that fight recap. Ankrad did a lot of the AoE, but it's that Drums of Slum, man. It really just makes PL, once you get a few of these early items, completely useless.
Kami right off the back, the buyback is onto Gilgear. Lacking the detection at the moment. Gilgear's going to go under the cover of the Glimmer Cape, but once he pops back out, they'll be able to deal with the Rubik. Now, Warwick's already looking for the secondary support down to the low ground as well, and Kami's going to be able to follow in pursuit as well. The Ontes will buy a little bit of time for Pantomim. Side steps out to the tree line, but it's not going to matter. They'll secure the kill, but Hydra, they've got to get pretty much a 5-man wipe for them to make it worthwhile, because they are up against the world with Mega Creep surely inside their base. It is not going to be an easy defense at all, as Ankrad, well, he's looking to get back into the middle of it. They bought back on both supports, so 5 on 5 we've got for the potential last fight as Ankrad down to
tanky
half
boy.
health, but is he really going to go down though? 4,500 health.
This would be a big kill.
Afterlife though. G's going to be activated. It'll mitigate some of the damage, repairing it all, but Kami, he should be able... No! Oh, Panther with the Reign of Destiny keeps Afterlife healthy.
Gotta give me some of that spell lifesteal, man. I mean, the Beastmaster is just doing so much. I mean, you saw Kami in that fight. I was just watching his position relative to Afterlife's, and whenever he got the opportunity, he stayed the hell away. You know, he dived in onto the back lines. I think Afterlife's positioning was probably a little bit off, to be honest. He was going for the heal bot, the medic, and that's a really deep dive by Ankarad.
Was so much damage, but not enough to get the finishing blow, and where are the boys? Kami is acting as a bit of a deterrent with the PL down to the bottom side, preventing anyone else from following up, but at least you've got the position for the False Promise. So Ankrad's going to be okay for the moment. It'll give time for the rest of one move to look to move on forward and get inside the base as Warwick, he's gone down, but he's got to buy back. Cloud's in some trouble as well, but the PL's playing away from the team. Looking to try and deal with Afterlife. The Beastmaster's pretty tanky though. War's
Dead
gonna have to
dieback.
activate some of the drum of the slum charges, and Kami goes down. A dieback for him. The G's are dropped, and we're going to a game 3.
Oh, the Slum wins again. I love this item so much. I'm a little surprised that it took them this long to be able to get into it. I think he wanted to prioritize his own life a little bit too much and not throw the game away. Really wanted to get that BKB first on Afterlife, but smiles all around coming from one move. And you know, people celebrate in different ways, you know?
That's an interesting way to celebrate. I I don't even know who it was. I didn't see the tag.
face?
I don't know if it was Panto or
Yeah.
who it was. Someone was very, very happy. And what a performance overall from One Move. A first pick. Keep in mind, a first pick Terrorblade. Mukushi still looked incredible on that as well. And I mean, Ankrad, what a performance overall from the Primal Beast. I was very concerned, again, when I brought up kind of midway through that game, that I really thought the PL was going to be able to do it. And we saw there were glimmers of hope, but it felt like Ankrad just did so much work from the laning phase to the early game as well with some of his rotations.
He's having a pretty good series, isn't he? Even just in that game number 1 on the M, but obviously didn't end up getting them the W, but he did absolutely everything that he could have. And, well, unfortunately, I'm still just going to go back to it. If you level up the wrong skill at level 1, it really sets yourself up for a much harder time moving into the laning stage. And it felt to me that PL didn't get enough out of that laning stage. TB was able to build up too much of a lead, honestly, pretty heavily off the back of Panto. I thought Panto was an absolute menace. This is 2 games in a row that the team that's been able to get aggressive off the back of like a good first 6.5 minutes to be able to be in a position to make the move towards the Wisdom Runes is the one that's going to be able to, I don't want to say be guaranteed to take the game, but at least put yourself in a really good spot.
And you said as well to start this series that this overall is very important for both these 2 teams. Keep in mind, of course, they won their first series overall, so potentially HYDRA or One Move are going to be 2-0 to start this final tour. And Eastern Europe, they have 3 slots, and it's a very competitive region. And again, there's a lot of question marks around Bet Boom with Pure going to 3 and Nightfall to 1. Who knows how they're going to be able to perform as well, because prior they took 2 slots in for the first and second major. So now for one team to potentially be 2-0 is huge for that midweek and final week run as well in the last tour to be able to set yourselves up for the Bali major. So currently we are 1-1 tied apiece here for our first series of the night. Let's see who's going to come out on top after the break.